is Red Hot Reds Live. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Strauss.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m. We are live, and we're not actually going to have any guests today. We're doing something a little bit different. It is Wednesday, May 28th. We're about a third of the way through the season for the Redlegs, and we've got some questions, and you guys got some questions. So we opened it up to have a ask us anything, ask me anything type of situation. Also, if you're in the comment section, feel free to drop some questions and whatnot. We'll try to field them with what we can with our knowledge of the Redlegs and what we institutionally kind of know about the Reds organization. But today's Wednesday. It's game 3 of the Reds versus Kansas City. They won the first 2 games, revenge games, some might say, with the Brady Singer, Jonathan India trade. But it also came off the loss 2 or 3 games to the Cubs. So to win 2 straight off the bat, Ricky, seems like a pretty good start. How are your takeaways so far this midweek so far?
I'm not worried about Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, it's a running bit that we're going to be the pro Ellie show, the anti he's overrated. The haters obviously are not having a good week for Ellie being demoted to AAA after the 2 home run game yesterday and looking like the better of Bobby Witt Jr. I know it's a bit of a joke to, say a debate settled. Ellie's better than Bobby Witt, but 2 games in against head-to-head. Baseball is not like that. It's not like basketball or football where you can go head-to-head and figure out, oh, yeah, this guy's obviously better than him because he beat him in this game. But baseball, the stats will prove out in the end, right? It's a long season. I saw some stuff about Surboy earlier in the week. He had a tweet about Ellie kind of the 6-year what and not extending him. That's a topic that we can cover in this AMA and certainly what we're going to think about the Reds are what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. The coming up with the CBA at the end of the 2026 season, December 1st, 2026. Remember the date. There's going to be a lockout. I think I feel most strongly about that. If we're going to, spoiler alert, about 2 seasons from now, a season and a half from now, it's looking that way. There's going to be lots of nasty negotiations, a lot of manipulating of the media, to say the least. But let me go through my little spiel before we get into what we're going to set out today. Answering some questions, talking about baseball, and whatever comes to mind. Thank you to Doug and Jordan for lending us this platform at Ohio Sports Talk. We're real appreciative of them being able to give you this content on Ohio Sports Talk's YouTube. Please subscribe to that YouTube. Subscribe to X, Instagram, Facebook. We're live on those platforms as well, right, Ricky? We're also very thankful to Dubby, our sponsor. Go to dubby.gg to get the sugar-free Focus energy drink, the only one on the market. Go to the dubby.gg, and when you get to the checkout, put Red Hot 10 in there, and you get an additional 10% off, which it helps us. So help them, help us, which is what we're trying to do here, just trying to give you the best content we can and maybe some other things. But, Ricky, we are doing an AMA, first time. Kind of doing something like that. We got some good questions from the audience, from our growing audience. We're very appreciative of that. So if anything, tell a friend, be a friend, that we are here on Wednesdays and Sundays going live most weeks, talking Reds, probably doing some off-season content, which is something we could talk about as well on this show and or in the future. But the one real question that I had for you, and I'll give you mine first so it'll give you some time, is the one that really struck me was that was given. I forgot exactly who gave it, but what would be your ideal starting 9 lineup? I have mine, so I'll give you some time to think about it. I want to give credit to, I think it was Doug, maybe. Who is it? Yeah, Doug from Ohio Sports Talk. Shout out to him. He said, what would be your ideal starting 9? And that means including guys that are, injured, if they're healthy, like the ideal number. I got one. It's not really tailored to like left-handers or right-handers, but it's tailored to like kind of what we've seen in 2025, basically. So my guys, the production they've shown in 2025, even if it's a little bit, say like Austin Hayes, who hasn't been playing the whole year, or Marte or whatnot, or Benson. But spoiler alert, my guys, top to bottom, 1 to 9. Number 1 leading off is our usual table setter, center fielder, Terry Lee, TJ Friedel. That's kind of my thought process. He's been coming on as late as well, so it's been great to see him. I know I traded him a couple weeks ago when we were looking like we're going to be winning only 76 games, but Terry Lee is a good ball player.
You can still trade him.
Yeah, my concerns is that he's 30 this year, turning 30 in August, going to be 31 next year. Not and a couple of years of team control might be attractable, to some teams, because then they're not having to extend him right away, possibly. Left-handed bat, can play center, right? Some teams might like that. Anyway, number 2 hitter, who's the guy that analytics say, is your best hitter. And this year, he's not necessarily been our best hitter, but I think he's the guy that we need to get most at-bats, is shortstop Ellie De La Cruz. He's obviously starting to come on this week, and we hope that now we're heading into June, he's going to get even hotter when the weather gets warmer. DH, or could play outfield, depending on how we want to move this around. I guess not so much, but it'll be our new guy, our guy that we took a chance on with 1 year, $5 million, is Mr. Austin Hayes. When he's healthy, the Reds look great, to say the least, right? Like, he came up mid-April, they got on a hot streak, got hurt again with a hamstring, came back, they looked great again, and now he's starting to hit again at the end of this month. Hopefully he'll stay healthy enough to get them going into June. So he could be DH or left field, depending, I guess, on the state of his hamstring. And then cleanup hitter, our guy, the guy that's been kind of belabored or been kind of put down by a lot of Reds fans last year for having his issues and his PED suspension, is third baseman Noelvi Marte. We kind of really missed him when we kind of had that streak of not getting some at bats. He's not necessarily the biggest power hitter, but like, he's that line drive hitter, like you said, and he seems to hit the ball hard. And that's StatCast is good for at least telling you when the ball is hit hard. Obviously, if it goes out the park, like Terry Francona says, it's 1 run. But we need guys to hit the ball hard sometimes, and he's one of those guys. This is kind of controversial because we're probably going to touch on the catching situation. I almost kind of went with Trevino here, but I think our guy, Ty Steve.
We're going to go Austin Wentz for a second.
Yeah, I almost tricked you, right, to think that way. Our guy, Ty Steve, who has come on late, but I think if we are getting a glimpse right now this week and last week, this might be 2024 Ty Steve coming back into form. And you love to see that because he had a great, positive WAR, 2.4 WAR season, I want to say, last year for him. So if we get 2.4 WAR out of him, love that in the six hole there. This one also kind of controversial because I don't know if we really have a first baseman per se in the organization. We got guys that can play first. We got guys that are maybe above replacement, but I kind of just got this guy in here because he's going to be in the lineup anyway. Mr. Spencer Steer at first base. I know you're not his biggest fan defensively, but he's serviceable, I guess you'd say. We don't really and there was a piece. I don't know if we talked about this. I think Tim Kirchin wrote a piece before the season started this year, the downfall of the power hitting first baseman or productive hitting first baseman. It's kind of a running back situation where the value and the production has gone down over the last 10 years at first base. It's no longer the guy that you throw there that's, I don't know, like a Travis type big lug that hits 15 runs. Ryan Howard, yeah, type like that. You know what I mean? And there's not even any Joey Vottos out there anymore playing first base, really. I guess you still got Pete Alonso out there in New York, but that's about it. He's kind
Bryce Harper, kind of.
He's kind of there because I don't know if they want him getting hurt in the outfield, and obviously they made a business decision because he came up as a catcher. So imagine him playing catcher. He would not necessarily might not have the knees that he has today.
He'd probably be close to being done at 33. So.
Yeah, or playing first base with bad knees. So yeah, Steer's there, kind of just as the best available / he's been productive more than CES. Obviously, he's my favorite, Connor Joe, hasn't been there long enough to really kind of earn that spot, but great hair. Then following up,
There.
yeah, left field, our guy that we got from the championship Dodgers, Gavin Lux. I think just having him in the lineup just feels like, I don't know, just got a winning ball player. He's not necessarily great defensively out there in the outfield, but he can DH maybe if you put Hayes in left field, potentially just kind of switch up there. But I just kind of like Gavin Lux. He's been a real positive spark I think they traded for him, right? Or was he a free agent? I can't remember.
Traded for him. They traded
Was it the Serrata deal?
Serrata, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Sucks.
hopefully that doesn't turn into a potential Cy Young winner later for the Dodgers, but can't do anything about that now. After Lux, I got Benson because this is a pro Benson show. I think he needs to be in the lineup every day and whatnot. And then the follow-up, McLean. I know his production has not been there. This could be Espinal as well, maybe a platoon. You know, we like Espinal's glove, so why not put him there? Maybe off days when Marte's not in the lineup, you have Espinal in as well. But that's my 9 based on what I've seen in 2025 and, you know, what I think is the ideal setup for the lineup. You know, trying to go lefty, righty, lefty if we possibly can. But, you know, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this lineup, or do you have your lineup ready to go?
Yeah, I think I got mine. I like yours though. I like I'm not sure. I guess mine will be a little bit different, but I guess the only thing I really would differ on is McLean, just where he's at. But that's also like perfect world. I mean, based off today, he's not performing right. So I see that. I guess mine would be let's go. I'm not gonna go in order of batting order. I'll just kind of go position.
Yeah.
So I will do. Let's see. We'll do Hayes in left, Benson in center, and Lux in right. And you can switch left and right field. Just kind of they can kind of all play everywhere. First base is going to be CES. Second base McLean, shortstop Ellie, third base Marte, catcher Trevino, and DH Stevenson.
I like that. Okay. And
then having Candelario coming off the bench, and then platooning DH, giving Stevenson days off, and then when Trevino wants a day off, Stevenson catches, and then Candy plays first or DH. And then I guess if I was to platoon outfielders, obviously Friedel's in that. Just Friedel's mainly, I guess, like you said, just a trade target. Just because I think he's got 3 years, two or 3 years of team control. I think it's 2028. That could be enticing because he's a really good on base guy. So maybe a team like the Padres or somebody would be interested, but I don't know. That was an interesting question. I like that because it really made me think. Because there's other guys too. Like if we're gonna talk about potential prospects, like Hector Rodriguez in center for sure. Like he could. Honestly, I think he could skip AAA. And they're not going to do that, but I think he could. And the real interesting one would be Sal Stewart. Where do you put him, and then what does that do with the rest of the infield? Like, would you put? I think he's second base, third base. I think he has some experience at first, but I don't think it's a whole lot. So maybe that's one of those things where you look at maybe McLean can play center a little bit more, and then you can maybe I saw where there was conversations. I don't know how true or how accurate it was, but saying that Marte could take some spots at second base. So maybe, but I don't know. Maybe Marte could play in the outfield. I don't know. I guess that's just the conversation we'll have because I don't know. Maybe that'd be my question for you is what would you do if let's just say spring training 26 he's ready to come up,
which is Hector Rodriguez,
Sal Stewart.
Sal, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, yeah, talk about building a 2026 lineup, and shout out to Sir Boy. He says that Friedel hits free agency in 2029. So yeah, team control until 2028, I believe, is what he's trying to say. So yeah, the 2026 lineup's going to look, I think, a lot different if it's based up to general manager and me, because I think
Hendricks playing left field.
Not that. It's more like I think I'm going to see Reese Hines and Will Benson a little bit more, like a Hayes, Benson, Hines outfield, in that kind of thing, and maybe Lux in there as well as a fourth outfielder type of thing. And then for the infield's going to be kind of crowded. Like, I mean, we already kind of know this because we keep drafting shortstops. I mean, wasn't McClain a shortstop as well, and he moved to second.
Marte was too.
Yeah, so there's a lot of infielders that we have. I don't know. Like, given McClain's injury history and me not necessarily being all on the Spencer Steer train, I don't know. Like, if you can get something for Steer, you get something for Fraley, you get something for Friedel, why don't you put McClain at first? In that way, he's not having to cover as much ground in the I don't know.
The only thing that sucks about that, he's 5'6".
Yeah, he's not going to really stretch out. So I don't even know who's taller.
I think that was the conversation about Espinal, because Espinal's like 5'9", 5'10", so it was like, But Reese Hines is like 6'2", so I think he could play it. But
yeah, I mean
he came up as a third baseman. It's not a whole lot different. Just scooping instead of getting crushed by line drives.
Yeah, and when he got called up, I think he was working out at first base for a little bit, right? So
yeah,
essentially. So yeah, I don't know. I'll just throw McClain in there because I was on the fly. I didn't really prepare for this at all. But yeah, we have a situation of infielders.
I like this question, Sir Boy.
What is?
I like this one a lot. When do you move on from Edwin Arroyo? Because he really going to be moving anyone from their positions if he can't hit big league pitching. I like that just because I think they're keeping him at short just to keep him as a trade piece. They're not going to move Ellie off of short at least for a couple of years. As long as he's physically able to play short, they're not going to move him. The only thing I could see them actually doing with Ellie is playing third, and I don't even know if that's until he's like late 20s.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to save this one for later, Sir Boy, just because I think that's going to be in our trade discussion piece. Just, I think there's something they can do with that.
Yeah, and we got some thoughts on it because we did talk about the shortstop situation in terms of like we've got a bunch of guys that we like a lot. That
I can name some shortstops right now
that aren't named Edwin Arroyo, right?
Yeah, you got Edwin Arroyo, you got Sammy Sephora, Tyson Lewis, the kid they just signed out of the Dominican Republic this year, Liber Taponte. Like, there's at least 5, maybe 6 shorts. I think at least 5 shortstops in the top 30 prospect list.
Yeah, and Edwin Arroyo being in Double-A, he's being, he's kind of the closest to being potentially called up sometime or being ready at least, which, obviously I don't think there's any plans to move Ellie De La Cruz despite his errors, unless they go with kind of the Clay Snowden plan that they say, you know what, Ellie, you probably need to play third. You got the stronger arm, less coverage, basically Edwin Arroyo, if he is as good as the Reds value him. I don't know if he is because he hasn't played AAA baseball yet, so that's a good question. I guess I would like to see that first, what Edwin Arroyo looks like on the Louisville Bats, and then start to make some proclamations in terms of what the shortstop of the future looks like, if it is Ellie going forward or maybe some sort of move in the infield. But then it becomes a logjam because we love Noelvin Marte and his bat, and he seems to have not necessarily, he's not a Gold Glover yet, but he's improved his defense. In fact, the whole Reds team overall, if we're being honest, has improved their defense. Maybe that's just being a year older, a year more mature, maybe having less, or more time working on it. Because I want to say that in spring training, there was a kind of emphasis for defensive drills or just drills in general from Tito, that I think it was either Mark Sheldon or Charlie G talked about how when David Bell was in charge of spring training, there were a lot more meetings And with regards to Tito, they're on the field more. So, you know what I mean? Like, baseball is a game of repetition. So you kind of have to get out there and play, which is why we don't really know if these prospects are what they're supposed to be, because you don't know what you are until you go out there and play, right? It sounds great when these guys got high grades from Fangraphs or what have you. But, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Edwin Arroyo might be a trade piece because he can't necessarily have a shortstop full prospect system and be like, hey, we're just going to keep all these shortstops and we'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah. I guess the good thing about that, too, is like shortstops are easier to move to other positions. Like Ricky Cabrera was originally a shortstop, and then they moved him to third and second base. So, and then we had the Nick Senzel experiment. But it depends on the player, honestly. Like, do I think Ellie could play center field? Yes. Do I want to put him in center field? Absolutely not. I'm not risking anything. And he basically plays outfield at shortstop anyway.
Yeah, kind of that roving. All right, like softball. You don't have that short outfielder. That's basically Ellie. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know. I think that way we diverted off of that, so I didn't have to answer the Edwin Arroyo question because there's our answer, right? In terms of Edwin Arroyo, where we feel like he's kind of surplus to what we have, so he might be the odd man out, and you know we might not need a shortstop in the system at AAA, so or AA for that matter. So like, I don't know. I think we would like the Reds to possibly, and I'm gonna parlay move this into a next question. Maybe use Arroyo to get an outfielder. And do you see the Reds going after a right fielder? We have, Hayes, who's been pretty serviceable. Friedel's pretty serviceable. Benson, they don't necessarily have the faith that I think the fans do sometimes. I think they hate him against lefties for sure because he's not playing today as we're recording. The Reds are playing against the Royals. So
let's add this to the screen.
Yeah, and Benson wasn't in the lineup 2 of the 3 games against the Pirates because they have lefties. So they obviously don't trust him against lefties, so they don't see him as an everyday guy. But that being said, do they trade for a guy like that? Obviously, we've broke this down a little bit with Mike on Sunday in terms of realistic what they could get, what they want. Obviously, Robert Jr. from Chicago has been thrown out there because the Sox stink. They have 1 or 2 more years of control for Robert, so this might be the year they might pull the trigger. Last year they didn't, because they had the 2 or 3 years of control. This year might be different for the White Sox getting rid of Robert for I'm thinking they're going to probably ask for a lot because the White Sox probably need a lot in their system, whether it's prospects or guys that are ready to play in MLB right now. I don't know. I guess Robert's out, at least for me. What do you think? Do the Reds go after a right fielder, or do they sit and just kind of go with what they got?
I think they're going to sit. I don't think a 190 hitter with 5 home runs is in their calling cards for right now. I mean, you got Robert's batting 190 with 5 home runs, 20 RBIs. That's granted. That whole team sucks, but he's 27. He's under contract, I think, 2 more years. He signed a deal with them to get a pretty decent contract. But I want one, but I don't think they're going to go after one because they have one in AAA. I don't think, they literally demoted him to bring up a hamster. So, jeez. Hey, we've scored like 32 runs since we've signed him. So
the front office is vindicated.
Yeah.
So forget what the fans say about Garrett Hampson. Reese Hines would not have produced that many runs, is what you're trying to say?
Nah, I'm not saying that. I'm just
it would have been 38 runs instead of 20.
Right. I don't think they're going to go after one. I think if they do anything, they might shake up the pitching. But we'll talk about that later too. But I'll tell you the one that I want, and it really made me want it more hearing Mike talk about it on Sunday, was James Outman from the Dodgers. Because there were trade talks of him being traded to the White Sox for Robert. So maybe I don't want to get too far ahead, but maybe trade him for Arroyo and a pitching prospect like I don't know who's the Luke Hayden or something. I don't know. Just maybe
Serenowski. But they really like Serenowski.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. James Outman does propose. I looked it up. He's got a couple more years of service time than I thought. I thought it was last year that he got called up for the first time. He's actually got like 2 or 3 years in. I think it was around the same time as Ellie. I mean, we could look that up because Outman, I think he's about 28. He got called up actually in 2022, so he's actually got more service time than Ellie, from what I'm seeing here. But he hasn't played a lot lately. This year, he's only got 8 games. This is his year 28 season. Last year, he only played 53 games. It was 2023 where he kind of broke out with 23 homers and 70 RBIs for the Dodgers.
So he was drafted in 2018, and he is under team control through 2029, according to Google AI.
Yeah, but I think actually because he's got this service time and he hasn't been playing a lot, whether due to injury or whatever is going on over there with his, whatever the platoon or whatever they got going on in the outfield. Do they have Mookie playing short still? I don't watch the Dodgers at all, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that doesn't. I mean, he's not performing well, so it kind of is. It's like the Reds thing that they love to do. They love to get all-stars from 2023 that are a couple years removed. Espinal, Ty France, Austin Hayes types taking flyers on them, but because of that drives his value down potentially, and it could be gettable for the Reds, right? I don't mind it. Isn't he a left-handed bat as well?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of coming around. We should be writing some emails to Mr. Brad Meter.
When Mike told me, I was like, isn't he like washed? But then like his AAA stats weren't that bad, and he plays center field. He's 27. He went to a college that's by my hometown of Sacramento State. So I don't know. I'm not gonna like throw the farm for him, but he might not be a guy you have to, because they have some prospects that have actually surpassed him. He's kind of, I don't want to compare him to this, but like he's kind of like a Jonathan India over there. Like India was the rookie of the year, and then here comes Matt McClain basically taking a spot because he's just better. They have that with, I think it's Andy Pagas. So I think that's a good one. And then like Serboy says in the chat, Taylor Ward. We talked about that too on Sunday. I think he's pretty obtainable. I just don't think that the Angels, I think they're going to want more than what they can get for him. I don't think he's worth a ton. Just, I don't know.
No, and the Angels have been surprisingly good. They had an 8-game winning streak this season, I saw.
Yeah, they DFA'd Tim Anderson today. I saw Austin Elmore had that tweet. It was I think it was a Family Guy tweet where he's looking at a pill bottle and it's Nick Kroll looking at Tim Anderson.
Oh goodness, that better not be. No, jinx us. But okay, I'll tell you this: Taylor Ward has definitely a better resume than James Outman, but he's 31 this year. He's playing every day, it looks like, because he's played 53 games this year for the Angels. They're probably going to ask for a lot. He doesn't have a great WAR. His best season of WAR is in 2022, 3.5, and he only played 130 games that year. So he's serviceable, to say the least. But I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking that, the guy that has had the decent season 2 years ago.
He's under team control through next year.
Yeah, so I don't know. Taylor Ward, I'm not exactly sure what the Los Angeles Angels are thinking, because maybe they're going to try to have a decent season, one of the last seasons for Trout. You know what I mean? Because like I said, they've been kind of surprisingly good. I think the Mariners are the best in the division. They still have the Astros. But, I don't know. It's kind of – it'd be interesting. If they can swing it, they can swing it. But they probably – I want to say probably the Angels will probably ask for more than maybe the Dodgers would, because the Dodgers might be trying to get out from under this Outman situation for all we know.
Yeah. You want a really, really, really burning hot take?
About Taylor Ward or about
No.
Okay.
Trade for Mike Trout as long as they pay for like 75% of his contract.
Oh man, he got such an early deal. He might not be making that much money. I don't even know what the Trout deal looks like. Well, I guess it gets all backloaded, right? Like in contract.
I'll go on Spotrac real quick.
Yeah, I would say let's see who get there first. Mike Trout, isn't he like 35?
He's 33, 34.
He's only 33.
Pretty close to my age, yeah.
I was thinking he's well past it. Yeah, he's 33. Oh
In
man.
26, he's making 37, 27, 30. He's only making 37 through 2030.
Only. That's only like a third of our payroll.
That's not very backloaded.
Yeah.
That wasn't as bad as I thought.
No, it's pretty consistently the same since looks like 2021 he's been making 37 a year. All right, man. If they eat about I don't know, man. They gotta eat like what? Oh,
if they pay, let's just say they pay $20 million.
Oof. That's still a lot. $17 million for a old guy.
Yeah, he's Mike Trout.
Yeah.
He's just got to stay healthy. That's the problem.
Yeah, healthy, and he's got to. What do you do with the rest of 2026, 27, 28? You're saying
imagine he comes here and then he just becomes what Mike Trout's always been.
I don't know. I can see him getting in the batter's box and pulling something the first at bat. Being on the DL.
How old was Griffey when we traded for him? He was like, what, 30, 31?
Yeah, he was younger. But Griffey's injuries were, running into walls and stuff, right? Like, he had some hamstrings as well.
Yeah. Trout's were like wrist injuries from like swinging too hard and diving in the walls. And then, I don't know. I'm just kind of a homer with Trout. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like, if that's only if I want to make that a huge preface, like if they're paying 75% of his salary for the remainder of his contract. I'm not paying him $35 million a year if he can't play.
No, yeah, that age 38, 39 season is looking like
2030 he'll be 38.
No. I mean, I don't know. We're gonna have to go through a CBA and all that, so maybe who knows? Maybe they just
might drop down. They might just give him to us with the CBA.
If only. If only, yeah.
Be like a fantasy draft where you get like a snake ladder fantasy draft.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Here's a more question, I guess, geared toward the Redlegs, because I don't know. I think we're starting to get off base in terms of reality, in terms of what the Reds will do.
Let's get back to reality.
/ can do. What happens to the Reds when CES is ready, when Fraley is ready, and when Marte is ready? Those are going to be probably 3 different timelines. But I think CES may be the closest. Fraley may be the closest because they're both playing. Well, actually, Fraley might be the closest because he's already at AAA. I want to say CES was at the ACL Reds for a minute. He might be optioned to AAA. I got to look that up. But then down the road is Marte when he's ready. But he's had some positive news in terms of his recovery lately. I guess we'll start with Fraley and CES. What happens when those guys are ready? What's the play?
People aren't going to like this. Benson gets sent down for Fraley. I hope not. Fraley has options. They should let him stay down there. With that being said, I think when CES is ready, I think that's when Austin Wynns gets DFA'd. So I think that's the 2 moves. I think if they don't option Fraley down, who else would they move? They're not going to send Steer down. He's finally getting hot. And then, McLean, maybe? But I doubt it.
He's in the Steer camp where he's not going to get sent down, even if he's hitting 100. But Fraley is technically ready. He just hit a home run the other day, this weekend, for Louisville. I think he is ready physically. He's probably going to get more at bats. The question is, how long will they keep him there in Louisville?
I think they have 30 days.
30?
From the time of his rehab start beginning.
Okay.
I would option him, honestly. I would just keep him down there. And then let's just say Benson actually cools off compared to just not playing every day. And then I guess maybe another one too, which is I don't know, it makes me so mad, but you give Garrett Hampson a major league deal.
Does he
Like
have
that seems like so anti what we've been doing. It seems like he would have been a minor league deal just for a guy hitting 117 in Arizona. But
Yeah. And he doesn't have options. So if you get to a point where you sign this guy to a major league contract, it's a Mike Ford situation where he's just going to collect all that money. And,
remember when people were upset that we were going to possibly DFA him, and now he's playing in like Japan, Korea.
I think it was more of a situation where they didn't. At least my recollection was it was more like they needed him earlier, and they waited and they waited, and then they signed him, right? Or they called him up, and then all of a sudden he stunk for a stretch, and they're like, you know what, you're not worth what we did. So he ended up collecting $1.1 million for like a week for 2 weeks of like play. So it's like this might be the Garrett Hampson story as well, far as I can know. Still 0-0, bottom 4. How's Hunter looking? Does his stat line look good? Obviously got nothing.
He is.
So yeah, still 0-0 for the Red Legs, which at least they're not
4
losing.
hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah. A lot more hits than I would expect at him, but maybe it's just little singles that are not turning into much. Stevenson 2 for 2 tonight, so he's
heating up.
Yeah, I'd say that this conversation. Hopefully, I don't want to know if you're ready. We can take it to the Austin Wins part of this. What do the Reds do with Austin Wins? That was one of the questions submitted. I want to say by. Let's see. Sorry, get credits too. All right, lost it. But this question was basically saying, what do they do with Austin Wins? He hasn't had any at bats. We talked about a pregame show. Oh, Mr. Scott Burns says, "Why isn't Wynn getting at bats? Ridiculous." I don't know. It's kind of turning into what we kind of thought might have gone when Stevenson comes up. He's got longer track record with the Reds. He's making a little bit more money than Austin Wins. Obviously, he's doesn't have a bobblehead. So as soon as Stevenson got hot, they basically announced his bobblehead for I think June 7th against the Diamondbacks. So they obviously organizationally are going to side on Stevenson. And luckily for them, he's heating up, which is great. We'd love to see it. But what does that mean for Austin Wins?
DFA'd. I mean,
simply.
I think unless something crazy happens and you play him at first base, but I don't know. I think his time's up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tend to agree because it's 1-0 Kansas City. We just jinxed Hunter Green about that. But yeah, the simple answer is that Wins is a veteran status with his service time that he doesn't have any options to go down AAA. I'd love to have him as a AAA catcher. Unfortunately, Stevenson got hurt at the beginning of the year. It looks like Austin Wins was going to be that AAA catcher going into 2025. But unfortunately, he had to be on the major league roster because Jose Trevino ended up being the starting catcher on opening day. Luckily for us, both of those catchers have been way, way above replacement. I call Jose Trevino the first half MVP, or I guess the first third MVP for the Reds because you only expected, I guess, defense out of Jose Trevino. You definitely expected off day, giving Trevino rest when he needed it for Austin Wins. But we got way, way above our expectations, especially on a ball club that was not hitting. Obviously, a lot of damage was done for Wins on that Easter day where he had like 6 hits or 5 hits or whatever against his former team. So shout out to the Orioles for that.
He did stay kind of hot though. He had 4 hits in Miami.
That was just the highlights. I'm trying.
Yeah.
We basically were kind of having a little bit of a not necessarily a funeral, but we're maybe a goodbye show to Austin Wins, because I think sooner than later, especially with the CES of it all, the Jake Fraley of it all, and then down the road Marte when he's ready, there's got to be moves to be made. And
I think they could trade him. Honestly, I think they could get something for him.
You were talking about the pre-show that there's been catchers going for some assets. So, like, what do you think realistically we can get for Austin Wins?
I think he could get more than cash. I think.
Well, that's Kessley's favorite trade.
I'm still waiting for cash considerations to do something on this team.
Yeah, we're going a long time, Ricky.
I don't know. Maybe a low-level prospect that's not on the top 30 list. Maybe just a random shortstop, because anybody could pan out. Or a random outfielder.
I was saying we could take some chances on outfielders.
So we got kind of lucky too, because we actually got an outfielder from the Dodgers for international pool money. We got Arnaldo Antigua. He's a top 30 prospect outfielder, and he's been crushing in the ACL. So I mean, you could just get, maybe a young Dominican League player, a young ACL player. I obviously not someone who's on the top 30 list, but maybe that could be. And then I guess that's just where scouting comes in. And you hate to just let somebody just go when you think they could get something for them. I would at least float it, float the idea out and see if somebody bites.
Yeah. I mean, we just looked through it right before the show because this question is very. I mean, nobody's really talking about it in the media because obviously, the Reds have been winning. Stevenson's been playing well, so like Wins is the odd man out, but he's been the odd man out since Stevenson's called up. Since the last start for Austin Wins was back on May 6th. I mean, that's nearly a month away. And he's had 4 at-bats since May 6th. So they obviously don't think he's even a viable option in pinch hitting, because you think in 22 days he'd bat a little bit more than 4 times, maybe 8 times. I don't know. But he's obviously he's got good numbers because he's had that great offensive output. And, in an ideal world, sir boy, we would definitely take Shohei Ohtani. I hear Shohei Ohtani is overrated as well, just like Ellie De La Cruz, because he doesn't pitch anymore, and now he's just striking out his teammates. He's not even striking out major leaguers. So overrated Shohei Ohtani.
Bob Castellini should have just offered him like 20% team ownership and just said, "Hey, sign with my team."
I say, what are the Reds worth? Like, that might not be enough.
Well, I mean, they're valued high. It's just he doesn't have enough money, and that's the problem. And he's, as weird as it sounds, being a majority owner, you don't even have majority ownership of the team. I think he's got like 30% overall, but he's just a majority owner, which is sad because we're relying on him for all the money when he doesn't have any. Yeah,
I think baseball kind of football or basketball calls it the governor. I think the control person is in baseball. It's the guy that goes to the owners' meetings to vote on behalf of the team. But he represents it. I think even the Lindners have like a small portion of the team still, even though they own the team prior to the Castellinis. So like, I don't know. Like, there's probably a lot of people that we should be blaming because it's not just Bob's money that's not spending. It's a bunch of other people. But he's kind of the figurehead, kind of the meat shield, if you will. To kind of show like, hey, this is who runs the team. Obviously, his son's the CEO, whatnot. So I don't know. It's
the worst one is the future. That's the sad part. Like, everybody hates Phil. He's the one that's going to be in charge next.
Yeah, so that doesn't bode well necessarily for future contract negotiations and whatnot with Mister. Where are you going to go? Being the guy that's heading all over that, but that could be a whole nother show, which probably we'll save for the off season because we'll definitely have a lot to say about that, depending on the off seasons they have before the collective bargaining agreement and after. I don't know. Obviously, we were one of the names of this podcast before we settled on this one was the team, Bob. So maybe if the valuations go through the roof when the Reds make the playoffs after this year or next year, they might have some incentive to sell. But I did hear some chatter that the Twins are been the fan. I don't forget who owns the Twins of there in Minnesota. Have been looking to sell, but the amounts that they're like putting out there are not necessarily the valuations are as high as they want. I think they want 1.6 billion for the Twins, and the uncertainty of what's going to happen with the CBA, uncertainty of free agency the next couple seasons, is kind of like I don't necessarily scaring buyers away, but not necessarily they're not jumping at the chance. You know what I mean? Not necessarily a buyer's market, especially baseball. Baseball is kind of a tough. There's a lot of operations, a lot of expenditures. There's a lot of game day operation expenses. You know what I mean? And then to say the least, there's the payrolls that are not have any salary caps. So you have a situation where you have a market that could go haywire with Soto earning $765 million, and obviously Ohtani's not making $700 million with that. That needs to be looked at in the CBA, to be honest with you. That kind of deferral type of money, but that's another podcast for another day.
So I was just kind of scrolling through because I was looking up who the other ownership groups are.
Oh yeah,
and I came up with this piece from The Athletic, and I'll try to make it full screen.
It's like a lot of entities. I think Surboy is talking about there's 19 other shareholders.
So this piece here was talking about if, like, let's just say Bob was to pass away, which he's 81. I mean, you never know when your time's up. It does say this is talking about multiple teams. This was before the Baltimore deal.
Yeah.
Neither son is assured of a future as a potential franchise steward. The recent public miscues of both further inflamed fans agitated by the years of minimal spending and questionable management, and franchise sales could jeopardize their respective positions.
That's interesting. That's a report from The Athletic. So that's
that was from C. Trent Rosencrantz and Ken Rosenthal back in February of 23. This was just right before the Baltimore CEO made some comments. Said it just angered the Baltimore fans, and then obviously Phil's charade back in 2020 was 2022 when he said that.
Yeah, before opening day 2022.
It's brutal. Yes, I mean, I guess in his defense, I kind of understand it, but. Yeah, sir, boy. We'll save the Phil talk for the off season.
I would say we'll bring on Sir Boy for that conversation as well, because he's got takes in the comments section. I'm sure he's got even a lot more than what he's putting out there. Maybe not safe for public consumption, but we'll try to.
We'll get a pretty big show for that one. We might get Mike on for that one too.
Oh gosh, yeah. We could just do a roundtable of why the Reds and why baseball is broken. But hey. I will say I don't understand this. Here's a little small rant. So I know they're working on the Field of Dreams park in Iowa. Why hasn't that been expedited? Why are they not putting all resources in that? We're going into obviously a couple of years before the CBA where we might have a lockout, might not even have one in 2027. But why are we not having one in we got 2025? We got a minor league game at Rick Wood Field, which they played at Rick Wood Field last year. That was great. Love the nostalgia, but that's the one thing that baseball does do well, in my opinion, is bringing out the old timers, bringing out the legends of the game, and also putting it in this Field of Dreams context that everybody loves that movie. If you're a baseball fan, you get Costner to come out and throw the first pitch and all that good stuff. We should have been playing a Field of Dreams game 3 times a year. If they
should do a series there, honestly, not just a game.
A 3-game series, yeah. The ticket prices were ridiculous. I remember seeing, because this was back when I was a semi-White Sox fan. Tim Anderson, shout out Tim Anderson, just got DFA'd, like you said. Winning home run against the Yankees, right? That was primetime TV on a Saturday night. I guess they're circumventing that by doing this Bristol game for the Reds. but that's like trying to get into a different fan base, right? Like the NASCAR fan base. I don't know. It seems like they need to do something about that Field of Dreams game because like I don't care if it's like it's a capacity of 2,000 fans. You imagine the ticket prices of 2,000 fans to get to watch that? I mean, it's a TV product anyway, in my opinion, because I'm never going to be able to afford a ticket to a Field of Dreams game. But that needs to come back sooner than later. Sir Boy's right. They market baseball horribly.
So I don't know how accurate this is. It's just a random thing, but I've seen some posts about this. I'm probably gonna get what do you call it, Barry McCocknerd or something. But something about New York, they're gonna maybe do a replica of the Polo Grounds.
Again, nostalgia. It's. I know baseball's got some checkered past. You know what I mean? But yeah, Polo Grounds. Cincinnati should rebuild Croswell Field. Like, let's do this.
Okay, so it is real. I just found Talking Baseball's
Crosley
article. So it says MLB has announced plans to break ground in Pelham Bay Park in the Bronx to build a 2-scale replica of the Polo Grounds, which will host a special event series once a year similar to the Field of Dreams game. The stadium will have significantly less capacity than the original and is expected to be completed in time for 2027.
I mean, right after the CBA.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, it's going to be the Yankees and the Dodgers, but you know what? That's kind of historical significance, I guess.
Oh, for sure. Brooklyn Dodgers, yeah, for sure. And again, it would do numbers on television. As a Reds fan, I would watch that.
I'd want to travel. That'd be just, I never got to see a game live from the Polo Ground, so that'd be awesome. I hope they do the straightaway center at like 530 feet.
Exactly. Yes. Exact dimensions. None of this.
What would it like 215 at the corners and then like 530 at center?
I think so. It's ridiculous to say the least.
That would be the one game I'd be like, all right, put Ellie in center. just to let him run. He'd be like a wild horse out there.
They're gonna ease up on the what do they call it? The shading rules. You can actually just have all your infielders in the outfield. Basically, do that.
And shut the cage.
So, but yeah, this is kind of coming on to our last question that I was thinking about that got submitted. I'll have to look for it. But what are you thinking that the pitching staff looks like after the All-Star break? What will the rotation look like, especially as we know that kind of like Andrew Abbott has his struggles, Martinez has his struggles. We have Lodolo that has injury concerns from time to time. Like, are we in a situation, and this was submitted by Sports Retweets, do the Reds make a deal at the deadline? Is it a matter of we're hoping Chase Burns and or Rhett Lauder are ready? Like, what do you think, I guess, after the All-Star break, what's our starting five?
If I'm the Reds, I probably sit Lauder the rest of the season, or at least until really late, just because maybe he maybe rushed a little bit coming back, but I do think we're going to see Chase Burns relatively soon. So I think the only like real logical thing to do is I don't know what kind of contract Nick Martinez is going to command next year, especially if he's pitching the way he's been pitching lately, which has been phenomenal. And you can maybe get away with another qualifying offer. He's going to be 34 at the end of the season. So I don't know. I think they maybe try to move him at the deadline and actually get decent return. I mean, you got Christian Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer, Chase Petty for, Tyler Malley and Sonny Gray, respectively. Like that. For that, I mean, you could probably get a similar return for Nick Martinez from another team. You hate trading guys for prospects, but I mean, pitching is such an expensive commodity. I mean, Chase Burns, I'd hate to use the team control thing, but being a small market team, like you have to at least entertain it. But I think Chase Burns should be here now. Honestly, I think put him in AAA tomorrow and then let him have 2 starts and then get him up. I just think why waste it if he's that good? Hunter Green's not completely back yet. I mean, he's obviously, in my opinion, the best pitcher in baseball. But coming back from the injury, maybe they should have done a rehab start. But I guess not having a bona fide starter ready. If Chase Petty wouldn't have struggled as much as he has, I would say just bring Chase Petty up and let Green rehab. But I'm not out on Chase Petty yet. I think he just needs more time.
Yeah.
Because I do see. I think it was Austin Wins says he works out with Sonny Gray in the offseason. He said he sees a lot of Sonny Gray in Chase Petty, just harder velocities. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, I think I kind of went around it a little bit, but
no,
I think you're going to see. I mean, I would almost. I don't want to do this, but I could almost entertain a Lodolo deal, just because they haven't come to any kind of contract extension talks yet. I think he's due arbitration this year, and he could be a free agent 2027, I believe, or maybe 26. But you got to worry about the blisters with him. You got to worry about it's just kind of an inconsistent health wise. Every year it's been something. Like in 23, it was a leg injury. 24, it was blisters. It kind of showed his hand the other day. Kind of looked like he was kind of feeling for blisters, but I mean, he's so good. I mean, he could get you a heck of return. But it's also he's that second ace that you have that if he's healthy and playing, you don't want to do anything with him. You want him extended. Then you have him and Green long term. And then you have Lauder, Abbott, Burns. Like that's a solid 5 for the future too. Because they're still young. I mean, Lodolo's 26, 25. Hunter Green's 25. Abbott's like 24. Burns is 22. Lauder's 22. I mean, that's what you pray for as a small market team when you're not going to spin in a ballpark that can't afford pitching anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's tough to predict. That's still kind of like 2 months away. More or less, we got the whole month of June and then half of July, so a month and a half to predict what. This is my thinking is because obviously we can't predict injuries. We're not going to be able to. Obviously, you can try with Lodolo, seeing that he kind of has that propensity. Abbott has that propensity to fall off after a certain month, and Martinez, you're not sure exactly. I mean, I'm basing this off of basically. I think the Reds will be in contention. I think there are signs that they're going to get hot because they love to get hot in June.
Yeah, I'm not counting him out yet either.
Yeah, so I'm not so sold on Martinez being dealt because he might be a part of that getting hot. He's already been showing he's been pretty solid. He'd have to really kind of, at least the last 4 or 5 starts, he'd have to really fall off and really kind of be not valuable even into the bullpen or like being a part of like bullpen days type situation where he bridges from the opener to the bullpen. I'd like to think that maybe Chase Petty could be that role later in the year, maybe get a little more confidence up because I think he had a tough start in AAA. But my thinking is this. After the All-Star break, let's say the Reds are 5 or 6 games over 500. Cubs are probably going to be division leaders. I like to think the Cardinals are going to drop off because I have no idea how they're doing this. I'm not watching Cardinals baseball every day.
It's Jose Barrero. That's why.
Of course. Yeah, and Sonny Gray, So anyway, but
Reds.
Yeah, but and I feel like they're going to be at least probably they'll be right there with the Cardinals at the All-Star break is my guess. So we're going to have through the rotation will be like this in terms of the best guys / most important to the rotation. Hunter Green's number 1. I got Singer being the number 2 guy because he's the innings eater. And he doesn't necessarily blow guys away. I think he had 3 strikeouts in 7 innings yesterday. But he just 99 pitches in 7 innings is efficient. And then you only have to get, 6 more outs, with 2 relievers potentially. So, that's a guy that you need in June, July, August. going 7 deep or more, not necessarily having a mechanics that is prone to injury, has a reputation of pitching 180 innings already. You know what I mean? So that I think is number 2 in terms of importance after the All-Star break. / I think he's a pretty decent pitcher as well. Number 3, Lodolo. Obviously, he's kind of a guy. I guess we just need to get his IL stint out of the way. Like maybe he needs to get hurt now and get it out of the way. Then he'll be good for the rest of the year. Abbott kind of the same way, but Martinez is kind of in that weird area where I want to keep him as long as he's producing, right? Kind of thing. Obviously, he could possibly sell high. If the Reds are tanking after the All-Star break, boom, that's usually the time the Reds kind of do that anyway. So like maybe that's the time you at the end of July, beginning of August, at trade deadline essentially. That's when you look to sell high on Martinez. But at that time, I think when Abbott's fading and Martinez is trade bait, that should be like hopefully when Lauder and Chase Burns are ready to go. And if they aren't in contention, obviously you just want to see those guys, not overuse them. But if they are in contention, hopefully they're there to win games. Because Lauder showed it last year. Love to see him kind of show it again, but he's kind of has a setback. So hopefully he can get right and get right back into AAA and show some good outings. Obviously he had that injury, and I have to again keep tabs on. We'll update you on Sunday, see what his status is with whatever injury he's got going on. But yeah, definitely Chase Burns seems like, as Sir Boy says, he's going to be here sooner than later. I like to wait till after the deadline for sure to kind of get Chase Burns up. Like it'd be nice to have him at the end of July, but hopefully that's not out of need, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully you get him after the trade deadline so that that the Reds have done their business and we're going to figure out either what 2026 looks like, right, or we're ready to go and compete. And Chase Burns is just going to add that just additional burst of, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. Like he'll be the inspiration that we always are looking for, the Reese Hines inspiration, the Austin Wins inspiration. You know what I mean? But like maybe to carry them to the finish line, have one of those horses like Burns, just having there in the back pocket, right? Because you're right, he's 22. Like he's got some of his best baseball ahead potentially. So you don't want to use it all up in 2025.
Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you. I didn't put it in our notes.
No,
but, I can give you my take first. So give you time to think about yours.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it on our monthly grades back in April. What are your thoughts on Francona this season? What I mean by that is, what do you think the organization is expecting out of him this season? And I'm saying this season because there's a chance crap hits the fan and we just don't perform, right? Like MLB.com had us as like one of the dark horses to be a legit contender this year because of Francona. But obviously, the front office has to hold their end of the bargain up too. They got to make moves. They got to build a team around his capabilities. And obviously, the Red Sox had a hell of a team. They had Johnny Damon, Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia. I mean, they had legit all-stars littered, and then Cy Young caliber pitchers, and then Jonathan Papelbon closing out games. I mean, they had anything you wanted, they had it. And in Cleveland, he had Francisco Lindor for a few years, and then he had Jose Ramirez. Now I think was Steven Kwan up in 23.
Possibly, yeah.
I feel like he had him for a little bit in 23.
I feel like he's been there forever.
It does feel like he's been there forever, but he's pretty young. He's only like 27, I think.
Yeah,
but
he probably played on that team.
And but the skill set that team had is they had power hitters in Ramirez and what was the guy that just signed with the Diamondbacks this offseason? We were rumored to get him. Or he got traded to the Diamondbacks. He was their first baseman. Was Josh Naylor?
Yeah, one of the Naylor brothers.
Yeah. And then, they had really good pitching. Then they had the tail end of the Trevor Bauer debacle when right before he hit his potential, I think, is when they traded him. We kind of got lucky with that trade just because of how it worked out for us. But I mean, our team isn't what those teams were. And obviously we have Ellie De La Cruz, and he hasn't reached his potential yet. Matt McLean missed an entire season and is obviously struggling because of that. Marte had the suspension, struggled last year, was hurt, and then, had him in AAA, got hot, came up, got hurt. But they said he was dealing with an injury for a while. But I guess what I'm saying is we don't have a legit power hitter like any of those teams had. Do you think I saw it on Chatterbox's Off the Bench, and they have a new intern named Pearl. She had a really good take. She said she doesn't see the Reds blowing this team regardless, and that they could actually buy in. They could actually buy in and still try to have a postseason run. I don't think they're gonna worry about Francona this year. I think they're gonna try to give him his best opportunity this year, but I think next year's the year, or this offseason's the year where they really try to build a team around his managing capabilities.
Yeah. The biggest question I have between, and obviously, India Fairchild back. I think those chapters are closed, Sabrina. Sorry to say that. We also got a pretty good pitcher for India, so I think we've won that trade. If they want to give them back for nothing, for a bag of peanuts, we'll take them. But the thing I was thinking with regards to Francona is basically, what is the relationship between the front office? I know you had a quote talking about like he wants to stay out of that. He doesn't necessarily go up there and tell them how to do their job because he doesn't want them coming down and telling him how to do his job, essentially, right? So it's a situation where, like, I think we've got a little indication of what the front office is going to try to give him. Example, Garrett Hampson. Like, I don't think he's necessarily a guy that Tito is like saying, this is the top of my list. I want a guy that no one really kind of sees any value in as of yet, unless we're not seeing it, unless there's something else that maybe the front office sees, that some advanced stats or whatever. But if that's an indication of how the front office is going to try to get players for this team, for Tito to manage, not off to the best start, to say the least. Like, I'm not saying that Francona is going to have to try to make, just magic out of these things, but he kind of is going to have to. It's a small market mentality, I think, is what we have to deal with as a reality here in Cincinnati sometimes, is that we don't go and get the big time guys. But then that ends up being a situation where, we missed out on Jerkson Profar and we missed out on Anthony Santander, and we end up winning the best out of the three is Austin Hayes in terms of value for money, in terms of production, because those other two guys are not. I mean, Jerkson Profar suspended. Anthony Santander is 6 home runs in like 13 or 14 more games than Hayes, and Hayes has the same amount of home runs. So like the production's there, and his batting average is like 180, and Hayes is 320. So like the Reds are going to have to and Francona especially is going to have to deal with what he gets. I don't know if he's making demands. He's obviously got good pieces to work with, more or less, going into next year. I think that's the big thing. This year, we'll get what we can get, right? If we win 82 games, great. If we win 76 games, great. Like, it's not like there's not any expectations at this point.
I'm just seeing too many people online 2 months into the season saying fire Francona.
Well,
I mean, we weren't doing that 2 months into David Bell in 2018.
Who knows?
We didn't do that in 2022 when he lost 100 games. I mean, the guy was given 6 years and never did anything, and we're acting like he saved the franchise.
Man, that's the recency bias, the short-term memory type of situation, and that's
I'd bring back Dusty Baker at 80 years old before I bring back David Bell.
You're thinking people are really. I think that's just for the.
No, there's some people on there that are dead set.
They can't be
hate
serious.
Francona. Yeah, here's the quote. I got a video pulled up. It's from Greg Kuffner, Reds Daily 4, his YouTube channel, Cincinnati Reds Queen City Baseball Talk.
Okay.
Did you ask for them to go out and get X amount of players to before you took the job?
Never even brought it up. We're going to start our meetings this afternoon after I get rid of this and put on something I can actually breathe in. You're gonna hopefully find. I hope you never hear me talk about payroll, things like that. What I care about is the players that we have, trying to get them to be the best baseball team they can be. Whether they're 20, whether they're 30, or whether they're 40.
I don't know if any audio came through on that.
There'll never be an excuse when we play a game or lose.
Yeah, that folksy charm. I mean, if the media had its guess, they would want him here 10 years. But I guess that's the thing. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the front office of the Reds got charmed by him. Not to say that I'm saying that he's like smoke and mirrors. He's definitely got the pedigree to back up that charm. It's just a matter of like, does that wear thin if the Reds lose 90 games? If the Reds don't make the playoffs in the second year, you know?
Right. His exact quote was, "I hope you'll never hear me talk about payroll, things like that. There will never be an excuse when we play a game or lose a game on our payroll. Once the game starts, it doesn't matter."
I mean, he's got that experience with the Guardians in terms of having limited payroll, limited options in terms of going to get guys, and you'd like to think that he can do the same thing here, replicate it here. Now, different organizations, obviously, it's more than just the manager, right? I think Austin Hayes scored the first run for the Reds. So it's 2-1 Reds. So, hey, we scored one. We didn't get shut out. That's,
at least it's not a rubber match, and it's just.
Oh, that's what the Reds just need to do. Just win the first two games of every series, and then no one will be upset at you. Obviously, there'll be some that'll be like, why aren't you sweeping? But you win 2 out of 3 games every series, you'll be fine. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but you'll be fine in terms of everyone getting on your back by going, 3-22 in rubber matches?
Yeah, it's not good.
Luckily, this is not a rubber match, but you're right. It would, again, just add to that horrendous stat. But
I guess I got one final question for you.
Go for it.
Other than the obvious, Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, Sal Stewart, Cam Collier, Edwin Arroyo, what is one prospect you're really excited about?
Oh, I mean, how far are we going?
Anywhere you want to go.
Not a guy that's going to be up this year. Cooper Bowman. Just kidding. That's a callback to a horrible take that I had, that a Rule 5 draft guy that never even put on a Reds uniform except for spring training. Did he? Yeah, he had spring training at bats, right? Oh, God. How bad would that take be if he had 0 spring training at bats?
Oh, man.
But he did wear red once.
Did.
I could stand on that. Honestly, it's the guys that aren't talked about a lot. Those are the guys I like since we started this project. Really going deep. We really did it. I think a good episode with the ACL Reds. Check that out last week. Like going into that, going all so far is also shout out the Dominican Summer League. That's starting June 2nd, which is soon. That's got some guys that are really far away, but the Reds, this farm system is huge, and you never know what can emerge from that.
If you want to do more than one, go ahead. You could do like a position player and a pitcher.
Yeah. The pitcher that I've been really intrigued by and interested to see what they do with is Jose Acuna. Yeah. He's been really good at Double-A, rivaling the stats and the outings that Chase Burns has had there. And I don't know if they necessarily are competitive with each other to see who gets promoted first, but I think it's a guy that's just not talked about enough, and he's kind of under the radar more or less, and kind of stinks because they got so many pitching prospects that he kind of gets put to the side as like, oh yeah, he's good, but I don't know if he's ready to come up in the system as of right now.
He's not even a top 30.
Yes, but that's why
That's crazy. I thought he was.
I like seeing that kind of, hopefully that kind of guy get his chance. I don't know when it'll be. My guess, probably 2026 sometime. They might get called up to Louisville and stay there for the rest of the year, is my guess, based on kind of, we're kind of fast tracking Burns, and we're kind of hoping that Lauder, and I don't know if Lauder doesn't get it together, and Lauder might be the guy that stays in AAA, and maybe Acuna gets a couple starts here and there. I don't know. It's kind of funny to think about, like, also some of these guys, because like Tyson Lewis, you barely see, but you see the highlights of him, the ACL. I guess we got to get out to Arizona to really see like up close and personal. But he's an intriguing prospect, to say the least. Another shortstop, obviously, that's for the future. But I would say that would be my position player when we talked about him with the ACL episode, and kind of been keeping tabs on him. Hopefully he's going to be one for the future, and a guy that we can not necessarily put in a trade package, because he seemed like he's really good, real young. So those would be my two guys. What about you?
Man, this is tough because I get so invested in this stuff, doing the Chatterbox Friday and Saturday minor league recaps. I guess my favorite prospect is Sheng-En Lin.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just the potential of the two-way player for him. Obviously, when some people hear two-way player, they think, oh, Shohei Ohtani. He's going to be hitting 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases with a 2.5 ERA. But I think if you could get a third, fourth starter out of him, and a guy that could hit, above average, plus 100 OPS, it's a win, obviously. But I'm not going to count him because he's one of each. But
Unicorn.
Yeah, I guess one that I'm really kind of excited about is Arnaldo Antigua, the guy we got from the Dodgers. He's graded at 55 power and 50 hit, so he's got the potential to be a really good power hitter, but also an average hitter as well. And he's got speed. He's 6'2", and I think he's got 3 home runs so far in the ACL. I'll have to see for sure. 2025, he's got 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, and he's only struck out 10 times compared to 6 walks. So he's kind of almost evenly split with that. But he's a big kid. I think he's 19. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. So it's kind of like Reese Hines, but maybe he could be better. And pitching wise, you've really kind of got me sold on Luke Hayden. Just on these 3 up, 3 down segments. He actually earned his way up to the top 30 list for the new top 30. And he's got a 1.85 ERA in 7 games and 34 innings. So, I mean, he could. He's an Indiana kid. He played at IU. I think he's a guy that maybe the Reds do hold on to, and then they use that kind of the same story they used for Tucker Barnhart being from Brownsburg, Indiana, just up the road from me. But yeah, I mean, you got me sold on Luke Hayden, so I'm gonna pick Luke Hayden as my pitcher. Yeah,
Luke Hayden's been the surprise because they thought that Adam Serenowski, he's a top-rated prospect, but he hasn't had the best season. Exactly, not having the Luke Hayden type season, but hey, if both of them can get it going at the same time, Dayton will be a pretty good team, and they might not be actually in Dayton for a long time. As I guess if they both get it going, they both might be heading up or heading down south to Chattanooga first before we get to see them probably this summer. But yeah, no, we got pitching prospects everywhere, and
I got a relief prospect for you. Just doing this minor league recap. He's a little bit older, but he's in Dayton. Easton Sikorsky.
Oh. Okay.
He has a .75 ERA in 24 innings.
How about that?
He has been lights out as a reliever. 36 strikeouts.
Hey, we'll take that for sure. For sure.
He
Nice.
was the 2022 17th round pick, overall 13th. So he was a late round pick out of Western Michigan. He's been really good in Dayton this season.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. With a 2-0 count on McLean. Sorry. But the Reds are top to 7, so they got 9 more outs to get this going for the sweep. Hopefully we can get a run and whatnot. I don't know if we're gonna last the whole time because
Probably not.
I think I'm out of questions and whatnot. We really appreciate all the people that put in some questions on X, on all the other social channels and whatnot. If we didn't get to it, we'll probably respond to you in the comments section. We are definitely trying to grow this channel, trying to grow this brand. We really appreciate everyone that follows us already. Tell a friend, be a friend, so we can expand it even more. We like to keep doing this, keep giving you Reds content throughout the year, and also in the off season, as we keep alluding to that we're gonna have to probably do something if to just do some off season stuff. If there's big trades or big signings or just any other news and notes and maybe some retrospectives and whatnot. I don't know what we got lined up right now. We're planning for the future already. We're not even halfway through the year. I guess maybe hold off on that for a bit, but
You can do some monthly grades here and there.
yeah. We look to have some guests coming up. I think this Sunday we'll hopefully have Reed Mouse. We teased that before, and he didn't necessarily come good. But now we're gonna have another Cubs series, which hopefully this time around we'll have a little bit more success to invite a Cubs fan on, and hopefully he's not here to dunk on us after the Cubs take 2 out of 3 again. But hey, forgot about that. Reds have not been swept again or ever this year. Still no sweeps. They swept 4 teams: Pirates, Rockies, Guards, and who am I missing? They just did another one. Dang. All right, I forgot. Fourth team. Maybe it was the White Sox. The White Sox are lost. Yeah, we'll figure it out. They're getting tired here. But yeah. Anything else you got, Rick, before we sign off?
No, just thanks everybody for tuning in, all the comments. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we hope to do this maybe again. We definitely are going to try some live shows around the draft, maybe the All-Star game. We might have a watch-along coming soon. We'll stay tuned for that. We'll try to promote that where we can talk about the game and see what what the Red Legs do. Hopefully it'll be a good game, Otherwise we'll be catching our tears live.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if you got nothing else, Rick, it's 2-1 Reds, so let's get some runs.
Yeah.
Go Reds.
Go Reds.
We're the Reds. Red hot. We're the Reds. Red hot. We're the Reds. Red hot. We're the Reds.